Good morning, Year 4. This is Mrs. Fletcher-Brown, and I'm going to be talking you through your book club slides for this week. So we finished Letters from the Lighthouse. That's all done. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learnt a lot as well. Quite educational in some places, that book. And I hope you're looking forward to starting our new text. Myself and all of your other teachers are really enjoying it so far. So you, I'm sure, will enjoy it as well. So before we get started on your new book club book, we're going to go over your Viper skills, just to remind you. So remember, these are the skills that we use to help develop our ability to answer reading questions. So there's 6 different reading comprehension skills, and each skill begins with one of the letters that spell vipers. So that's where it's come from. So V is for vocabulary. So looking at the words and the phrases that the author uses and how they communicate their feelings or thought process or emotions, or persuading the reader to feel these certain things. And that's all by the words and the phrases and the vocabulary that they choose. Inference, this is one of the harder skills to develop because the answer isn't written right there on the page in front of you. You have to look for lots of clues throughout the text, and that will help you to form your own answer. Predict, so that's looking into the future, making predictions about what you think will happen next. Explaining, this is often really important and goes hand in hand with inference questions. For example, people might ask you what you think and then ask you to explain it. So if you're explaining something, you also need to give evidence from the text that will show the person that's asked you the question that you understand what's going on in the book. Retrieve. This is one of the easier ones because the answers are often written on the page. You just have to look for them really carefully. And summarize. So this is when you put the events of the story or the poem in the right order. Okay, so brand new book. It is called Tamarind and the Star of Ishtar, and it's by an author called Jasbinder Bilan. It is a wonderful, wonderful book. I'm already absolutely gripped by it, and I can't wait for you to enjoy it as well. So we're going to start on session 1. Okay, now, session 1. Here is the key vocabulary. So you might come across these words in the chapter as you read, and you might not know what they mean. So here are the meanings of them. So a veranda, it's this first one here. So it's a roofed or open air gallery or porch attached to a building. Gelatin, so that's a colourless and tasteless protein that's used in food, often in sweets. Himalayas, these are a mountain range that can be found in South Asia. Now, because the last book was quite complicated in all of the chapters and where we were asking you to stop and to answer questions, so this time round, we've simplified it for you. So what I want you to do is I want you to read through these questions with me very, very carefully. Then you can read chapter 1 yourself, or you can watch Miss Samra read chapter 1 and follow along with her. You can pause the video of Miss Samra reading chapter 1 when you come across the answers to these questions. So these questions are in order. So the first one that you'll come across the answer to is this first one here. Then you'll come across the answer to this one, then this one, and finally the last one. So you can read these questions carefully here with me. Then when you're watching Miss Samra read chapter 1, and you might be following along too if you have the book, then you will be able to stop and you will be able to answer the questions. I'm just going to draw your attention here where it says page 11. This is page 11 on the copy that Miss Samra is reading from. If you've got a slightly different book, it might not be page 11. So it's really important that you do watch the video of Miss Samra reading as well. Don't just read it on your own. Okay, so the questions for chapter 1 are these. Why does Tamarind love the photo of her mum? This is a retrieval question, so that you know the answer is going to be there somewhere. The next question, what does Tamarind shuffle away from Chloe and turn her back to the window? That should say, let's correct it together now. That should say, why does Tamarind shuffle away from Chloe and turn her back to the window? So here you have to explain why you think she's done that. The third question, find a phrase, so that's a group of words, on page 11. Remember, that's Miss Samra's page 11 as she's reading to you. Find a phrase on page 11 that tells you Tamarind is feeling nervous. So that's all about vocabulary, so the language that the author's used. And finally, who is getting upset at the end of the chapter? Why? And you need to explain why. Don't just tell me who is getting upset. Explain why they are getting upset. And that is chapter 1. Well done. Answer your questions, write them down, or even discuss them with an adult at home if you'd like. Brilliant work, and I will see you tomorrow for session 2.